Devin.
Demi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Alright. So what's going on?
Well, I used to be a dancer for about like 16, 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
And just got a really bad injury and I had to stop for about a year. But I've been like working on strengthening my shoulder. It was a shoulder injury.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about starting back up with dance again.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I definitely want to. I'm just worried
Okay.
about hurting my arm again.
Okay. So you're thinking about starting up again
Yeah.
and you're nervous about hurting your arm?
Yeah.
Re-injuring your shoulder?
Yeah, I actually scheduled to go to like a dance class next week.
Okay.
So it's kind of already like in motion, but I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm actually gonna follow through with it.
And how long were you out with your shoulder injury?
A little less than a year.
Okay.
When I initially got injured, I did not take time off.
Mm.
So it kind of turned into something a lot worse
Yeah.
than it would have been. Yeah.
Yeah, that's understandable. And, I mean, injuries are a part of sport. It happens, but I can definitely understand your fears for coming back and potentially re-injuring it.
Mm-hmm.
So speak more to the desire to come back. You want to come back for sure, or is it hesitation?
Definitely for sure.
Okay.
And I got cleared by my doctor to come back if I felt like comfortable enough, if I wasn't having any pain in my shoulder, which I don't really. I just don't know if I would after.
Okay.
So I definitely want to start back up again because it was like such a big part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoy it too, especially being a student. It takes away a lot of stress. Yeah, so definitely like want to.
Mm-hmm. And you said you've been dancing for about 16
Yes.
years? Yes, so a long portion of your life.
Yes. Although it's been a little bit since then.
What do you mean?
A year off, so pretty big chunk of time.
Yeah.
But
were you able to do any type of dancing or?
A little bit, like here and there, but I mean, I know I would never go back to like doing it 6 times a week, 5 hours a day. That would be pretty crazy. So I think the chances of re-injury are pretty slim.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure I have like some type of like plan to make sure I don't hurt myself again.
Okay. That's good. And doctors cleared you medically?
Yes.
You're good to go in that aspect?
Yes.
And we just have to ease into the process. And I think there's always going to be that little bit of fear and hesitation, but we don't want that overruling.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Mm-hmm. And so you said you've been dancing for a long time. It's a big part of your life. Do you want to speak more to, your dancer identity, I suppose?
Yeah, sure.
How important it is to you? Why is it so important to you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's important to me because, like, when I dance, it's like you can express, like, whatever you're feeling at that time, like, with the routine that you're doing. So, if you're angry one day, like, it's kind of relieving to just dance and get it out. And I feel like even though, like, it's pretty technical and, like, it is pretty perfectionist, but, you can put, like, your own, like, uniqueness to it, too. So I really like that aspect, like, making it your own, pretty much.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, so I guess as dancing is a big part of your life, you definitely want to start dancing again. You have that little bit of fear, but what is your kind of confidence level in coming back to dance from, on like a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super confident, ready to go, 1 being I'm terrified?
I definitely feel like it varies per day, but on average, maybe like a 6.
Okay, a 6.
Yeah.
Why not an 8?
I think just because, like, even though my shoulder is not currently hurting me, like, being nervous about, like, it could after. practice.
Okay.
And then I feel like if that were to happen, then I'd just be scared to go back
Mhm.
again. Because I worked pretty hard to make it like, stronger
Yeah.
and recover from the injury. And I was very good at ignoring it for a really long time, so I'm like nervous about doing that again because I can see that happening.
Okay.
So.
And then, so a 6, and going the other direction, why would you say a 6 instead of, like a 2?
Probably because I know how much I miss it, and I know how like good I was at it, and like that was a really big part of my life. So I feel like I'm like ready to come back, and that like I'm not as nervous about hurting myself as I was like, a few months ago.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that definitely does make sense. So you spoke to it changes on daily.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of your confidence level is at?
Yeah.
So why does that happen, do you suppose, or how does it change?
I think like sometimes if I sleep funny, wait, my arm hurts.
Okay.
A little bit, and I'm like, crap, that day's screwed.
Yeah.
So I think just like little things like that, or sometimes my dog likes to pull my arm really hard when I walk her because she's brat. So
Oh.
yeah, that happens. But then other days it feels fine. So
that puts it up.
Yeah.
There. So where is it today?
I mean it doesn't bother me right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of learned like what bothers and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gotten better.
Okay. So are you at that 6 spot today, or?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I like how you talked about why it's not necessarily a 2, because of that passion and drive to get back out there,
Mm-hmm.
and that it is feeling better, right? Would you
Yes.
say it's, better than where it was?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
That's good. So, in the past, have you had to overcome an injury before? I know this has been something that's occurred before, and
Mm-hmm.
we've kind of fought through it, and that wasn't necessarily good.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking to a different injury or even a different sport domain, has there been a situation?
Yeah. I actually hurt, not surprisingly, my other shoulder. And that was pretty quick. I was like 14. And I think because I was still growing, the doctors were really cautious about it, really didn't at all. So I took the time off and just recovered.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually back pretty quickly, like within 3 weeks after I had surgery on it. So I think I just like knew what to take care of, or I had like other people reminding me
Mm-hmm.
to take it easy, and then I'd be back quicker. Yeah, so that was really helpful. And I think the second time when I heard this one, I was at a point where like
Okay. Make sure it's going. Okay. So you wrote down from the first time you were injured, your 3 priorities, what was most important to you to help you overcome that, and then to this time, kind of what you felt your 3 most important aspects were to help you get through this.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what were those 3 first ones that you talked about?
Like having support and encouragement from friends and family, like to get back into dance, and then also to just like take care of my injury.
Uh-huh.
Then seeing progress and like easing back into dance, like rather than just jumping in.
Okay.
So like in PT, like the more movement I got back in my arm, like I would do more dance based off that, like rather than the other way around, if that makes sense. And then not catastrophizing.
In your first one?
Yeah.
And what do you mean by that?
Like pretending it's the end of the world that I've gotten injured.
Okay. So kind of what would you tell yourself?
That it was a really simple surgery and that the recovery rate for someone who is a teenager is like no time. So like even though I'm not dancing, I could technically be doing like I could still stretch. That way I don't lose like any flexibility. Like it's not really not the end of the world type of injury. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. And then what about for more recent with this injury you've been dealing with?
So when I first, I mean, it was pretty like ongoing. I would say it started like 5 years ago. And the way I handled it then was I was worried about getting recruited for a dance team at my college, so I didn't want to, like that was my priority, especially with funding and getting scholarships to go to college for that. And then sport encouragement was still important, like from my family. And then just not quitting in general, because I almost quit dance just because it was pretty frustrating trying to like continue knowing that I was getting more injured and not even knowing if I would be recruited for the team.
Okay.
Which I ended up being recruited, so it was fine. But
still, yeah. Tough.
But now I would say my priorities are pretty similar to the first time I got injured.
Okay. So I was gonna ask, what are some of the similarities and differences between the two?
Similarities, I think, the only one would be like having support and encouragement from my friends and family to get back in a healthy way to dancing. I think the big difference is the first time, like I eased back into it, and I have no problems with that arm now. And the second time I just pushed through basically. Like even though I had a surgery on the shoulder, I did not let it heal.
Yeah.
So I just like went right back into it. And I was focused on like not quitting and not giving up on like my dance career because I spent so many years in it. So that would, I don't know, I just felt like it would be silly to just quit after all that time. So I think I was more focused on like the outcome of dance the second time. And the first time was more like, well, like that's just one part of you, and like you'll get back to it if you listen to instructions and like listen to yourself if you feel hurt. So
yeah. Do you think if you would have taken the time off this second time around, would that have hurt your chances, or?
I think it could have, but I don't really think as much as I thought at the time. Because I still could have done like leg work, like rather than just like I think I had the mindset of like, oh well, I can't do anything. So
I see. Okay. Well, looking at the two, I really like the similarity piece, the social support that you found. And I think moving forward, going into this return again, post-injury and your time off, I think that is a piece to carry with you again, as it's come up in both. So if you want to draw a new line and talk about this time around, after the year off, you have some fears coming back again, but you also have that drive. So, looking at it again, I think, based upon what you've written, social support is a big aspect of your life. Finding that. If you want to write that down. And speaking to the social support, where do you find it most in, or who and in what aspect?
Probably my dad and my sister the most, because my dad is just like, I'm his little girl, and he literally babies me, which is nice, But then my sister too, because she like was a dancer also, so she knows those like boundaries of when you should stop and when you can push through. So probably the two of them the most. And then like friends here, even though they don't necessarily know like so much about dance, like obviously everyone knows about injury, like when it can interfere. So
Yeah. Okay. If you want to make it a little bit more detailed, I think it's important to have that self-awareness piece around your social support and figure out who to go to and when, kind of like you were saying.
Cool.
And looking back at the first time you went through an injury when you came back, it sounds like that process went a little smoother. Again, you were younger, it was a different injury. But what were those other two pieces that you were doing?
Not thinking like it's the end of the world. And seeing progress like with my physical therapy, and then like getting back into dance based off that progress.
Okay. So the first one, not thinking it's the end of the world. How could we relate that to this injury?
I feel like, well, I also feel like I was just like a teenager back then. When you're like a freshman in high school, you think everything's the end of the world.
Yeah.
But I think maybe if I were to like go take a class and it started hurting, like not thinking like, oh crap, like my bone is broken again. Because it's probably not. It's probably just like sore or like strained.
Yeah.
So like not being too nervous about the worst possible outcome, and then just getting it checked out if like it really is bothering me. Yeah.
So maybe being realistic with how it feels like.
Yeah.
A good way to look at it. And again, noticing if you're having some of those thoughts, those catastrophizing thoughts of like, oh yeah, it's broken again, or I'm never, like, this is the end of the world, like, I can't dance ever again.
Which I don't think, like, would happen, but it could, I don't know.
But once you do start practicing again and dancing again, checking in with yourself after each, even halfway through training or at the end of the day, and again, maybe using a scale of 1 to 10, 10, this is incredibly painful, and 1, no pain. To gauge, where you're at physically. And even in mid-practice, if it starts to get closer to that 10 and getting up to 7 or 8, communicating that with a coach or dance instructor, I don't know the correct term.
Yeah. Okay. So like keeping like kind of like a journal.
Yeah. Yeah. If that's something you could see yourself doing, I think that's a good idea. But yeah, staying realistic, staying self-aware, and using that 1 to 10 scale for pain level.
Cool.
And then what was the third one?
Like just easing back into it, like into dance. So I guess, like if it did hurt a lot, maybe doing a little less in practice, or like not using that arm as much for a day and seeing how it feels the next day after that.
Yeah, and I think for that one we could use that communication piece and being able to communicate. Do you refer to them as dance instructor? Or?
Dance instructor,
okay.
Yeah.
And refer to your
or
dance
teacher,
instructor or teacher,
yeah.
Where you're at, what level of pain you're at, letting them know midway through if it's, getting closer to that 7 or 8, or even letting them know, like, today it felt really good. But having that communication with them so they know they're not pushing you too hard. And then also that communication can go to your physical therapist if you still are seeing them. And it can go even to some of the members in your social support to make sure they're on the right track. Yeah. So communication, I think, is a big piece to keep you at that realistic and self-awareness level.
Cool. I think think so too. I think especially now, because I think going back to dance would be more like leisurely, not like really intense competitive, like have to be a professional dancer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think teachers would be, the instructors would be more receptive to me communicating with them. Whereas with like really competitive teams, like the one I was on, not so much with all of them. So that's a good one to add to the list.
That's good awareness to have around the different levels and what you're trying to get back to now.
Yeah.
So do you know why I kind of looked back to that previous injury? Do you have an idea?
To help me reflect on like what went better that time around, and maybe how I could like pull some of that for this time around. Like going back into taking classes.
Yeah, you're definitely on the right track. And so with that first injury, it happened, you were hurt. It was different, but it was an injury that you had to stop dancing for a portion of time. But you overcame it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a piece to hold on to, that, you know, injuries are part of sport. They're natural, but you can work through them and overcome them. And to have that piece of, I've done it before, I've been here before, I can get past this again. Yeah. Is something to hold on to.
Yeah, I agree. Especially since it's not really like injured anymore. Like,
yeah,
just
been
could
clear,
be, yeah.
But there's definitely that innate little bit of fear, I think.
Yeah.
But having something to focus on and checking in with yourself will hopefully help reduce it slightly.
Yeah, I think that will be helpful, because I feel like I never used to do that. I used to just, like, I think I knew I needed to have a check-in, but I never held myself accountable for it, so I think having it written down would make me feel accountable. Like, just having this sheet with me, or taking a picture of it, like, on my phone.
Yeah. Yeah, and keeping, if you do have a journal that you keep with you, or if you want to try that aspect, having that check-in and literally rating yourself how you felt today, and why, and who you should tell and talk about.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. I definitely feel like I'm like more confident in myself of being able to like notice if I'm actually feeling hurt. I'm not really like that nervous about going to my first class, but I'm still a little bit nervous about like what could happen after, but like knowing that I have like a little bit of a plan on how to like keep myself from being too scared.
Yeah.
Definitely feels helpful.
And even if your first day back, you set a time to check in with, like within the first however long do you know how long it is going to be?
Like an hour or two, depending on the class.
Okay, well maybe your first break you guys receive, check in with yourself while you're getting some water.
Yeah. Yeah. That could work.
Do you have any further questions?
I don't think so, but I will definitely reach out if like this doesn't end up working well for me, and then like, maybe we can like, rethink of how to make sure that I still feel like comfortable and ready to like get back into it.
And see how that goes. Even if it does go really well, if you'd like to meet again and do a check-in of how that first week went, feel free to reach out to me.
Cool.
And we can see how it's going, and I'd love to work with you in this process of returning to sport.
Thank you.